How's it going, everyone? My name is Snooze603, and today I'm bringing you my overall impressions of the Battlefield Hardline Beta. Now, as you noticed, I didn't get to this right away, and that was with good reason. I wanted to make sure I put in a lot more time this time around than I did with Battlefield 4 for obvious reasons. But if it's not so obvious, it's because with the Battlefield 4 beta right before the game was launched, everything felt pretty good. Gave it, rave reviews inside of that, just going off of beta impressions. But then when the game came out, it was a completely different animal, and it was just a nightmare. So I didn't want to jump into it too fast. I wanted to make sure I got a really good, solid grasp of exactly what this beta was offering before I gave any sort of feedback whatsoever, because I want you guys to be able to trust what it is that I'm telling you. I want you to be able to trust my opinion and my overall feedback on the game. So without further ado, let's cover the good stuff. Overall, I'm pretty impressed with the game. It's one of the things a lot of people were worried about was that Hardline was going to be basically an expansion of Battlefield 4. And I myself had said the same thing at one point, and I regret it. It was at that point, that's when I was still, in a really bad spot, and I was Mr. Negativity. While it does look still pretty much the same, it feels different that I don't feel like it's a carbon copy. It doesn't feel like it's just an extension of Battlefield 4. Everything feels just different enough that it feels like its own separate, unique game, which is important. And I think one of the standout things that makes it feel very different is the way the guns handle. And I'm not really a huge fan of it, only because I don't like things overly difficult. The weapon handling is a little bit more difficult in Hardline than it is in Battlefield 4. The recoil is kind of a pain in the ass. And from what I've heard, it's potentially that they've added in the visual recoil that they had actually removed in Battlefield 4. I don't know if that's true or not. I do know that from the get-go, I noticed that the guns definitely handled differently. And it took me a few hours to kind of get like a decent grasp on what was going on with them, to the point that I felt pretty confident that at least I knew, I had a fighting chance with anyone that I went up against. Now, as far as the different game modes, I'm a fan. They've got Conquest in there, and it's Conquest. There's nothing different about it. It's exactly what you expect out of Conquest. It's what you've been familiar with in all of the previous Battlefield titles. There's Hotwire. Hotwire is easily my favorite game mode at this point. It's Conquest, but the objective points that you capture are cars, and you have to drive them around, and you have to maintain a minimum speed in order for them to be considered captured. So you're constantly driving around at high rates of speed, and you've got people hanging out of your cars, either trying to repair it or shoot people as you're driving by, or take out other objectives that the enemy has. It's really fast-paced, and doing all that fast-paced driving and just all that fun action means you're PTFOing. So to me, it's win-win. And it's really easy too. And I don't know if it's, I think most of it is because most people just don't care to try to get into the objective and drive around and hold it and get those points. Because really, it's really easy to do that and win. I've easily padded all my stats with wins and overall score and stuff from that specific game mode, Hotwire. It's just it's a lot of fun. I like it. It's a bit of a change of pace, but it's still kind of grounded that it doesn't seem like a completely out there and like really wonky kind of game mode. And then you have Heist, which is essentially going to be like the new Rush game mode. So you run into the middle of the map, you got to break into the bank vault, and there's 2 bags of cash you're going to get. And you have to bring each bag of cash to one of the objective points. And that's it in a nutshell. No, I'm not a big fan of the map that it's on. The bank map. I'm sorry, I cannot remember what it is off the top of my head. Thankfully, what they've done is they've made it so that you basically have one of 3 objective points that you can bring one of these bags of cash to, and you have to get 2 of them. So there's A, B, and C, but only 2 will show up at one point. And if the enemy team is really kind of like anchored in and they're locked down on, say, B, which is in the back corner of the map and they're like a really tight choke point, at some point, and I forget what exactly it takes to make it happen, that will no longer become the objective point, and then either A or C, whichever one you didn't get already, will pop up and become available, and then you can go and just take that instead. But the enemy team has to be moved out to a certain point, so it's not like just a matter of, okay, you can't get in there, well, easy mode, why don't you just go over here while the enemy's still stuck in that corner? So there's a lot of little things like that that make the game really enjoyable for me. Now, the most important aspect of this, and this is kind of the bad side of the overall impressions, but it's still not terrible. the hit detection. As everyone knows, that is my biggest gripe with any first-person shooter game, is the quality of the hit detection. That is the absolute backbone, that is the foundation of any first-person shooter game out there. And with Battlefield 4, when it first came out, it was a fucking nightmare. It was just brutal, and it was just terrible. It was so inconsistent. But thanks to the efforts of DICE LA and the CTE program, they made pretty good progress in fixing it. Like, is it as good as Battlefield 3? No. The thing I miss about Battlefield 3 was if I got into a firefight, I always could get out of that firefight. Like, I always had a fighting chance to be able to just run out of there and survive. And I don't get that in Battlefield 4, and unfortunately I still don't get that here in Hardline. It's not terrible. I'm definitely not going to say it's terrible. But pretty much exactly what you expect or experience out of Battlefield 4 at this point is exactly what you're going to get in Hardline. And that makes sense. It's all built on the same architecture. It's not like they tried to do anything different. But talking to someone who's been going to these Hardline events with Visceral, the team is aware of the issue, and I guess there is room where they're trying to improve on it so that hopefully rather quickly after the the official release of the game, maybe things can get a little bit better. But it's not bad. Like, it's not terrible. It's not great, but again, it's not terrible. There is still some inconsistencies. And I mentioned it in previous videos where, if you get into a server and it seems like it's playing like utter garbage and you're constantly getting 1 or 2 shot kills, or your bullets aren't registering, or it just doesn't feel right. Like, that same issue is pervading Battlefield Hardline. So if you run into that, I found the same workaround in Battlefield 4 works in Hardline. Jump out of that server and grab another one. As simple as that. And I don't know what the reason is behind all that. I just know that that's exactly what I experienced. Like, it's 100% noticeable when things go bad, but it's 100% noticeable when you switch and things are better. So there's that. Overall impressions wrapped up into one neat little thought. I'm more optimistic now about this game than I was before. I'm not ecstatic about it. I'm not about to build up the hype train. I'm not about to fucking jump out of my shoes with excitement. I've just, now that I've gotten my hands on it and I've seen potentially what this game is going to be like on release, if this is exactly what we get, then I think people, for the most part, are going to be happy. If you just flat out hated Battlefield 4 and you weren't happy with all the changes they made and you weren't happy with the steps backward that it took from Battlefield 3, this is not the game for you. I can tell you that right now. Because, like I said, it's just as good as Battlefield 4. So take that for what it's worth. I'm certain at this point there's going to be some people probably calling me all sorts of names and maybe calling me a hypocrite or whatever because of all the shit that I said about Battlefield 4. And I do not deny that I said those things in the past, but the past couple months, I came to learn to love the game again, just from a different perspective. And a lot of that was because of the community. There wasn't that many people that were PTFOing anymore, so I kind of just shifted how I approached the game to work around that, where no one was really PTFOing. But with Hardline to get back again, now it seems like people are kind of bringing that PTFOing attitude back. Like, Heist has been really, really good for that thus far. Hotwire's been pretty hit or miss, mostly miss. And Conquest, I only played a few times. The thing is, I hate 64-player maps in Battlefield. I am convinced that the Frostbite engine is not capable of handling 64 players, plus all the shit that's going on as far as, actual bullets traveling and trying to calculate for all that. And I think with all of that, that's when shit gets really bad hit detection-wise. But I digress. To reiterate or recap, overall, I'm pretty impressed with the Hardline Beta. For those that don't know, I did pre-order the game, and I know I said a lot of things about never pre-ordering, but the reason why I pre-ordered Hardline was there was a one-day sale on G2A.com where it was on sale for $37, and I really wanted to get the game so that I could go ahead and review it for Dawnbreaker, so I took a chance on it. We'll see if the game can launch and actually be like what the beta is right now. If it's a complete repeat of what Battlefield 4 was, where the beta wasn't terrible and then the launch was like really fucking ugly, we're going to have problems. But for right now, things are looking, well, up, I guess. They're certainly trending in the right direction, and there's things going on within this game that we should be pretty hopeful for. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with me with that, but that is my honest assessment of the game, being as objective as possible about it. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it gave you some insight. I'm going to try and cover this game a little bit more in depth over the next couple of days, and even beyond the beta. Right now I'm just trying to collect as much information as I can myself so that I can better assess what exactly it is that I'm experiencing, and we'll take it from there. I'm just trying to take this one a little more analytical than I have with other games in the past, and certainly a lot more patient. Thank you guys for watching. For those that have played it, leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear what everyone else's feedback is regarding this game, and I will catch you guys in the next video.